My wife and I have always dreamed of celebrating our 40th anniversary with a luxurious vacation. Just the two of us, reliving the romance of our early years. We had it all planned out for years, and we're excited beyond words. Enter our adult daughter, Jane. Jane and her husband got wind of our plans and promptly invited themselves and their 2 children, tween female and kindergartner male, along. I originally put my foot down and told them this trip was just for us, which upset her. But my wife has a hard time saying no to Jane, as she's the youngest of our children and our only daughter, and she didn't want to hurt her feelings, so she reluctantly agreed to let them join. I wasn't thrilled about it at the time, but I wanted to make my family happy, and I knew my wife was also okay with the idea of a family trip, even if she was heartbroken that we wouldn't get our romantic trip. We went along with it. The place we were initially going was not child-friendly, so we changed course and decided on an all-inclusive, family-friendly resort. We paid for the resort and our grandchildren's plane tickets. Jane and her husband only had to pay for their airfare. Here's where things get complicated. As the vacation got closer, I started having a change of heart. I realized that our 40th anniversary was a once-in-a-lifetime milestone, and I wanted to honor it in a way that was true to our original plans. My wife and I might not be able to afford a trip like this again for quite some time, and it's something we've always wanted to do. So without consulting anyone, I switched our tickets at the last minute to go to the romantic destination that my wife and I had initially planned for. I didn't tell Jane or her husband. I didn't even tell my wife until the day before our flight left, the day before Jane's flight left for their vacation. It wasn't an easy decision, and I felt guilty about it. But I wanted our 40th anniversary to be the special, intimate celebration we had always hoped for. We called Jane after we landed to tell her, and she was extremely upset. She seemed to have the idea that we would look after our grandkids so she and her husband could have time alone. And now that I abandoned her, they would have to do it all themselves. I hung up on them when my son-in-law started shouting, and my wife and I enjoyed the rest of our trip. They came back the same day we did, but didn't answer any of our texts, and Jane seemed to be ignoring me. My wife told me she vastly preferred our trip to the family trip we would have taken, but she still doesn't like how Jane is mad at us and wants me to apologize. After learning Jane and her husband were using us for the free babysitting and a free trip, I'm not sure I want to, but I feel like I should just to keep the peace. Am I the idiot for changing our destination at the last minute and leaving Jane and her family to fend for themselves? Not the idiot. What part of 40th anniversary trip did your daughter and son-in-law not understand? Oh, boo freaking who. Do not feel guilty, OP. Not even for a second. You and your wife have done the parenting of your kids, and now it's time to start enjoying life as a couple again. Your daughter needs a swift kick of reality right in the tuchus. She dared to invite her family to your romantic weekend to secure babysitters so she could enjoy herself without any thought of her parents. The entitlement is mind-boggling. LOL, we all knew the moment she invited herself, she expected the grandparents to babysit while she and hubby enjoyed the trip. OP did right. Jane and son-in-law can go pound sand. If people don't want a parent, then they shouldn't become parents. Poor you, OP. If I'm reading this right, you paid for their all-inclusive holiday accommodation and flights for the kids. The daughter and son-in-law only paid for the 2 adult flights, and they're still not happy? And how ironic is it that they're mad they didn't get a romantic break alone when they literally attempted to sabotage that for you? You are the idiot. You raised an entitled brat, and rather than put your foot down and set boundaries, you took the crap way out of not telling anyone until it was too late for anyone to do anything about it. It wouldn't have been an idiot thing to just tell the daughter, no, this is our anniversary trip, and not let them tag along. But acquiescing and then pulling a bait and switch at the last moment is an idiot move. My fiance and I have been together for 6 years, and we're getting married in May. My fiance's stepfather married his mom when he was 3 and raised him like his own. His mom died from breast cancer when he was a teenager, but his stepdad let him stay home until he was 26, and even trained him to be a mechanic like himself. I greatly respect a stepdad for raising a child that's not his own and helping us both when needed. He co-signed for our first place because neither of us had regular jobs and income, and when we bought a place, he and my fiance did all the renovations. He's a great guy and lives with 4 rescue dogs. I'm Chinese American, so the idea of a stepdad, it's not really in our culture. Being as close as bio dad is unfathomable. But I can see that they're close, as if they were blood related. My own bio father is a deadbeat to me. He dated my mom when they were both young and left when I was born. He didn't give us money, and my mom never asked, which is crazy if you ask me. After I was an adult, I found out that he never wanted me, but she did, and felt guilty because he wanted her to get rid of me. So it's not like he wanted me to exist. He visited me a few times in my childhood, but never let us see his other family. So I have half siblings I only met when I was older. My mom and I were pretty poor growing up. We had government aid, and when I got older, I realized my half siblings were raised in a middle-class home, and my mom and I suffered for very little reason. So I have no reason to want my bio father to walk me down the aisle. When my bio father found out about the wedding, he offered, and I pretty rudely declined. I was mad at my mom for telling him, but she thought I should forgive him and let him walk me down the aisle, because no matter how much my fiance's stepdad helped, he wasn't family. I don't consider my bio father family either. So am I the idiot for wanting my fiance's stepdad to walk me down the aisle? Edit. I asked mom to walk me down the aisle and she declined, said a man should walk me down the aisle, but she doesn't want my fiance's stepdad to. He thinks no matter what my bio father did, he's my father, so he should. Well, tell her, obviously, your bio dad isn't a man, so you found one. You are not the idiot. The tradition of your father walking down the aisle with you is to release you from his care to the groom, to give the bride away. Your father never had you, so he's not the right person to walk you down the aisle. That burn was so on point, I could feel the heat from here. OP's bio dad is a loser, I swear. That's the only response OP needs. Ignore your mom. She grew up in a culture that ingrained into her mind that she's a doormat, and unfortunately, doesn't understand that it's not a good way to live. You can tell her that you refuse to eat bitter and want a better life than what your deadbeat father gave the 2 of you. Tell mom to take a hike. Your wedding, your decision, your rules. Walking a bride down the aisle is an honor, not an expectation. Your bio father did nothing to earn that honor. I'm so glad you found a man with a nice father. Yes, he is his father, who can walk you down the aisle at your wedding. Best wishes and happy wedding. My husband and I had a baby 2 weeks ago. She's strictly breastfed, and not only does she cluster feed, but she also just finds comfort in being so close to me. Therefore, there's not much I can do without her. More often than not, I'm completely okay with that. But this does mean that I don't get to shower by myself. I've showered once by myself since having her, and it only lasted long enough for me to soap up before she cried, and my husband brought her in to me. I think I literally had all of 2 to 3 minutes. With that said, my husband, of course, hasn't had to change his life around at all. Every day and nearly every night, he's taking 30 to 60-minute uninterrupted showers. He doesn't understand the frustration I get whenever he showers. That's the only thing that bothers me. I want to shower. I want to sit under the water and relax my muscles. But as I said, every time I attempt it, the baby starts crying, and he brings her into the shower with me instead of trying to calm her down. He says it's because he knows that the shower calms her down, and he doesn't like her crying. He feels bad, like it nearly makes him cry whenever she does. So I get his thought process, but it feels like a cop-out at the same time. So I called my mom and asked her to watch the baby so I could shower and shave my legs, because I've literally been attempting to shave my legs for 5 days now, and it's all patchy because I keep having the baby handed off to me. I need to self-care. My husband was home when I asked my mom to come by. I didn't tell him. She shows up and takes the baby, and I go shower. My husband comes in at some point and asks why my mom is here, and I tell him I asked her to come by, so that I could shower without the baby being handed off to me. He said, I could have watched her. Why would you do that? So I said, every time you watch her while I shower, she ends up in here with me within 2 minutes of me being in here because you don't even try to calm her down. Now he thinks I'm an idiot because I never told him to keep the baby out of the shower, despite me specifically saying that I wanted to relax and self-care multiple times. Am I the idiot? He says I've now made him look bad to my mom. Not the idiot. Husband wasn't being thoughtful. You found a way around it. And now, even knowing how hard it's been for you, he's still not actually concerned about you. He's just worried about how he looks to your mom, which makes him an even bigger idiot. Is it possible to lock the bathroom door when you take a shower? For the times your mom can't come over? If, according to hubby, showers calm the baby down, why isn't he taking her on his 30 to 60 minute showers? Per his logic, those would be super calming for her. I've noticed that some moms stop their husbands from learning because they take it as the first sign of trouble. It doesn't sound like you're doing this, but I mention it because it's a common pattern. Dad is holding a crying baby, and within 30 seconds, mom takes it away from him, saying, "Here, let me do that." Honey, listen, you take your showers, okay? The baby will be fine. She can cry for a few minutes and still be all right. She's not going anywhere, and no emergency in a healthy and well-tended baby's life can't wait 5 minutes for you to wash your hair. I promise. And in the meantime, your husband will have some bonding time, which it sounds like he needs. While I'm at it, you also eat your meals, go to the toilet, and put her down if your arms are tired. She'll be fine. My ex and I divorced when our kids were young. The kids are tween and teen now. We've been divorced for 7 years now. We have 50-50 custody, and she remarried, so spousal support is done. Her new husband recently left her. I don't know, and I'm not interested in the particulars. In my opinion, he didn't seem like a terrible guy, and he left her their house. Once again, I have no idea of debt load or anything like that. She called me last week to see if I could help her with some food. She said that she had run through her budget for food for her and the kids and basically begged me to help her out. I asked her to give me a few minutes and I'd call her back. I talked to my girlfriend who lives with me, and we agreed that we could spare some food. We have a freezer full of elk, venison, and wild hog, as well as a well-stocked pantry. We also have beef, pork, and chicken. I called my ex and told her to come by and pick up a load of groceries. This is where it got weird. She said she didn't want groceries. She wanted me to give her money for Uber Eats or something. I said, no, I have 2 weeks worth of food that you can have, but I'm not giving you money for takeout. She called me an idiot for expecting her to be grateful for my scraps and expecting her to be all domestic. Everything I was going to give her was either frozen meat, canned veggies, fresh vegetables from the garden, or pasta and rice in unopened bags. I want my kids to eat well. My kids hunt, and my son, the older one, is a pretty good cook. He regularly makes meals for all of us at my house. Both kids eat game meat as well as store-bought. I honestly thought I was doing what she asked. I told my girlfriend not to bother packing anything up. I texted both kids and told them to let me know if they were actually going hungry, and I'd take care of everything. Both kids texted back and said there was food in the house. It just needed to be prepared. They also said that if I was willing to spare some of the elk and hog roast, they would take them. I laughed and said I'd take them over later. My ex, however, is telling everyone that I'm trying to manipulate her into behaving like a housewife and refusing to buy food for my kids. Some people are taking her side and saying that I'm an idiot for not helping her out. 100% honesty. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but am I missing something? Not the idiot, and you're being very generous. It's good that you followed up with the kids to make sure they're being taken care of while they're there. As for the people bad-mouthing you, you don't owe your ex-wife anything. You're divorced. She's not your problem. Anyone who reaches out to you about it, I tell them. I offered to give her free groceries so that she and my children would have food, and she said no because she already had groceries and wanted to order Uber Eats instead and wants me to pay for it. Please feel free to donate your money to her lifestyle if you want to, but I no longer need to. There's no reason to be giving her money. She asked for help with food, and you were readily willing to give her some of your food. But she doesn't want help or need help with food. She wants and needs money. With 50-50 custody, you shouldn't have to give her any money. If she absolutely needs it, she'll have to apply for government benefits. She's being ridiculous. She doesn't want to cook. That's fine, and I get it. But to be so lazy, you would rather spend an extra $30 for the delivery, the tip, and the random extra expenses that food delivery apps tack on, instead of just going to the place yourself to pick up the meals is idiotic when you're expecting it on someone else's dime. Am I the only one who has the sneaking suspicion the ex isn't just planning on using that money for food? Because it seems like your kids aren't as distressed as your ex makes them out to be, and that there is some food in the house. I, 35 male, and my girlfriend, 32, argued a few weeks ago regarding the division of labor in our home. She felt that she took on most of the mental load and housework and was frustrated. I disagreed, and we talked at length about it, during which time she suggested that I had frequently weaponized incompetence to avoid doing some task. I responded that there's a difference between weaponized incompetence and leaving difficult or tedious tasks to the person who's more efficient. As an example, I mentioned home repairs. I'm not particularly handy, soft hands, I work in tech, but I can change a pipe or patch some drywall with some degree of efficiency and will learn anything I don't know how to do if it seems like I can handle after weighing the time and cost against hiring a pro. On the other hand, my girlfriend is not confident enough in her skills to handle anything like this. She freely admits it and leaves all such tasks to me. So I asked her if that was weaponized incompetence as well. She's never taken the initiative to handle any home repair task and rarely takes on anything that requires a tool, even as simple as tightening the handles on our cookware. To be clear, I don't mind this arrangement, and I told her as such, but it made her pretty angry, and she said that I was being a jerk, holding it over her head, etc. I told her that she was upset because I pointed out her hypocrisy, and as you probably guessed, she got more upset. She still hasn't let it go. I can see how turning the argument against her at the moment is aggressive and maybe even antagonistic, but I don't think I did it in an unproductive way. I think she was expecting the conversation to go very differently and was taken aback. Am I the idiot? How often do you need to fix drywall or repair a pipe? Doing the laundry is not analogous to patching drywall. I bet the stuff you don't want to do is the stuff that needs doing every day. You are the idiot. It's convenient for you to be competent at jobs that only come up once or twice a year than something you have to do weekly or daily. That's what she's trying to put into words. Maybe you're not ready for an adult relationship. Also, you are the idiot because you claiming it's better to give the more tedious task to someone more efficient is BS, and you know it. You'd rather not do that tedious task, so suddenly you think calling her more efficient makes it better. The definition of weaponized incompetence. Dude, you're lucky your woman isn't quick on her feet, because if you said that to me, I would have kicked you out.